believe you are correct. We are on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line down. Star by little owl. Star shish bo machak, a document which has an erasure, oklus migufo, or a I don't know what you call it in English, but like something a carrot. That's what it is.
Oh,
Carrot.
Yeah, that's inclusion.
Yeah. So it means something dangling above or below the line.
Right, that you left out.
You know what a carrot is?
Carrot is
those little
arrows.
The arrow, up arrow, down arrow, right? So that's a klus. The migufa apostle. If that's if it's dangling in something like that in the essential component of the star, not just the excess verbiage, but in the essential component of the star, that makes the star no good, because you don't know if that's legitimate or not. Shalom migufa, if it's in the non-essential component of the star, it's okay, it's kosher. And if it's an essential component, even if it's an essential component, if it's repeated later on at the bottom of the document, afilu migufo kosher. In other words, if you put in the carrots and put something between the lines and later on repeat at the end of the document, that's okay, because then that indicates that it was a real bona fide correction. The witnesses sign on it as well, since it's included in the document later on. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Tarvei and Ormin, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi both said, now, it's not clear exactly what this means. I have 3 possible ways of interpreting that. It either means that, as the Korban Eido says, that you have to repeat the, when you have a carrot, so you have to repeat the phrase which the carrot added above the last 2 lines of the document. Because if it's in the last lines of the document, since we know that there's a shita which we have before, that you can have 2 spaces between the end of the document and the witnesses, so maybe this was added in later on. Maybe the carrot was added on later on, and maybe these 2 lines were added in later on. So therefore, that's no good. It has to be not within the last 2 lines, the specification of the carrot. Or the Bnei Moshe says, Adarabah, it's got to be dafka be in the last 2 lines, because that's logic dictate where it should be, because the logic would be that those 2 lines are initially blank, and therefore that's repeated. Well, I like Korban Eido because the Bnei Moshe is difficult because it leaves room for fraud. So I like Korban Eido better that shouldn't be in the last 2 lines, which is the opposite of Bnei Moshe, so it is in the last 2 lines. Then I thought on my own, maybe it's a totally irrelevant halacha. All this means is that the last 2 lines of the document that repeat in a summary form what the document said. In other words, when it says it doesn't mean repeat the carrot, but whatever the document was talking about, the theme of the document is repeated in the last 2 lines of the document. Right? That sounds good, right? Okay, so it could mean any of those 3 things. And the next line says, Rabbi Zir B'Shem Rav said, shall get emo. In those last lines, either if we're talking about where it repeats the carrot, or where we're talking about where it repeats the story of the star, you have to mention the matter of the star or the matter of the carrot, depending how we interpret the previous line, where the previous line is talking about the contents of the carrot or the contents of the star in general. But Rabbi Shem Rav said, Lo Yizkir Nyono shall get emo, if you don't mention re-mention the matter of the get in the last 2 lines. Now here the word is missing possible. Should see it's possible. So Kasha is Mechalvo Tavit Shitasid Rabbi Bo. So it seems to contradict Rabbi Bo, because Rabbi Bo said yesterday that you can leave the last 2 lines blank. I think there was Rabbi Bo's Shita before. What? So he says that in the previous one he says that no, I think that's what he said. Is that it? No, that's not what the kasha is. Sorry. The contradiction of Rabbi Bo is like this. That previously Rabbi Bo had said that you can fill in the last two lines of the document with anything. There can be Eidim Psulim. In other words, if you have two witnesses or apostle, then you consider those two lines are considered skipped, and you go and you just continue with the two witnesses which are kosher. So it sounds like the two last lines don't have any specific content which they're supposed to have. Yet here it sounds like they have to have specific content, right? So therefore, it seems like Rabbi Bo is much stricter over here. So it says the Gemara. Here it is explicitly in the Gemara. I don't know. I just drew a blank. Tama Nam Rabbi Bo. Rabbi Bo said, "B'shem Rabbi Yirmiyah, name Rabbi Yirmiyah, Eidim Sulim, Eidim Dasu Kerchei Kedus." If you have Eidim Sulim on the document, it's not considered to be a gap between the document and the Eidus. So they just fill it to fill in the gaps of the get. So the last two lines don't have to be filled with matters that have to do with the document. They need to be Eidim Psulim. You can just write gibberish. Here he says, it sounds like the last two lines of the get must specifically be solely concerning the content of the get, which sounds like my pshat in the Gemara. It doesn't sound like Carbonata, because Carbonata is focused on the two lines, not what happens before the last two lines. It sounds a little bit like the Pnei Moshe, that you have the last two lines have to repeat the carrot, right? Whatever was added, inserted later on. But it definitely can go like where I'm going. And so that means that the last two lines of the document must be the contents of the document. Earlier in the Masechta said you can have two lines between the documents and the signatures, which in effect is like part of the documents, which is full of Eidim Psulim. So it means you don't have the two last lines full of content, full of get content. It's two lines full of Eidim Psulim. So says the Gemara, it's not a contradiction. Then Rabbi Yirmiyah, he said that you can have two lines of gibberish. He says that the last two lines have to be content-laden, must contain content and not gibberish. Okay? Says the Gemara, new topic. The guy who's the defendant against whom the shtar has been produced, he cries foul against the witnesses and against the judges. Most documents have witnesses who are signing it and judges who confirm the validity of the signatures. So this guy calls foul. He says, "Prove to me that the signatures of the witnesses and the judges are not forged." Okay. So Rabbi B'Shem Rabbi Yehuda said, "Shekanim Ratzah Kaim K'sav Yada Eidim Kliyim, K'sav Yada Eidim Kliyim." You can be Mekayim either way. It can be in order to sustain the document, you can use either the witnesses or the Dayanim. You don't have to pick and choose. In other words, you have to verify whoever the individual producing the document is who wants to collect based on this document. He proves he proves the validity of the document by verifying the signatures on the document, either the signatures of the witnesses or the signatures of the judges. Now, the two witnesses, and how many judges? Three, right? But nevertheless, Ani Omer, Rabbi Yehuda continues. Ani Omer, afilu be'ed echad, even if he confirms one witness, and it should be vid dayan echad, and one judge, that's enough. Right? He doesn't necessarily have to do two witnesses or three judges. Do one witness and one judge, and that's sufficient. Okay? Mukuyim, that's sufficient. That makes sense. It's good. Since you can do either one of them, either one of the writings, either the Eidim or the Dayanim, so you can also make every one is worth the same as the other. You can mix and match one and one as well. I'm not sure exactly why that logic follows, but that's what he says. Anyway, Yoav Rishul, these are just assorted halachos and shtaros, not necessarily connected to one another. Right? Yoav Rishul l'kseifa. The individual gave permission to ascribe to write. Sheichto. L'chasamaya, and to witnesses shiachtamun, that they should sign. But they're not signing at the same time the shtar is written. So, that's a problem. And they're not signing on the same date. So what do you do, right? Rabbi Yerushalmi said, the witnesses have to write, they have to write that the loan took place on the first day of Nisan. But we delayed the time. In other words, we signed it later, and in fact, the effective date of the shtar is from whenever the Adam signed it, not from the time the loan took place. Okay? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Zir said, Rabbi Zir said, Ashra Sadayonim, the verification of the Dayonim. Afilu Rechoika Kama, even if it's distance from the witnesses or from the rest of the document, Kama, by several gaps, kosher, it's kosher. Right? The witnesses have to be hard on the heels of the document. We had a machlokes within one line, within 2 lines, but they have to be hard on the heels of the document. But the way they Dayonim, their certification of the document can be anywhere on the document. It doesn't have to necessarily be immediately adjacent to the document. I guess because it's not as the Adim are signing on the document and all the contents of the document. So therefore, their signatures have to adhere to the text of the document. But the judges are not signing on the contents of the document, but on the verification of the document. So therefore, doesn't matter where the verification appears on the face of the document. Okay? Rav Amar Tzrichim HaDayanim L'chtov, the Dayanim have to write, Ishrinu, we verify the document of Mama Ploni Ploni in the presence of so and so and so and so. Lama, and those so and so and so and so are the witnesses who testified as to validity of the signatures. Lama, Gedei Shalo Yu Mitzuyim Lazim. In order, now there's a typo here, it should be in order that they should be Mitzuyim Lazim. I mean that they should be able, if necessary, if counter witnesses want to come and say that the signatures which were verified by these individuals are not properly verified, then they want to say that the witnesses who verify the signatures were implanted witnesses, they need to know who was there and when they were there. Okay? So that's why they have to write what day it was. So the Gemara doesn't like that. Gemara says, it should have to say what day it was. I guess that's the date to say that they were there. And what hour of the day it was. What place it was. So we want to prove that that these witnesses could not possibly have been there, or that these witnesses could not possibly know about what they testified. We need to know precise details, because that's how you make Adam Zomim, by proving that they were elsewhere at the time that they claimed that they were somewhere, or something to that effect. So the Gemara, obviously, it's a funny question. The Gemara says, nothing could be Rav. A verification came out for Rav's basin. They didn't write any details at all about who was there. Because the truth is, it doesn't mean you can do Azama Mamish. What does it mean, Azama? Azama means you're going to say the witnesses who testified about this were not valid witnesses. How are you going to prove that? Certainly, it's not a classic case of Azama. The classic case of Azama is where you say where they were, they could not have been at that time. But here, what you really want to say is that the witnesses did not know about whose signature they were signing, right? So therefore, it's not really the process of Azam in the classic sense. So when it is meant, you have to know who the Adim who testified to the signature were, in order that you can disprove them, but not to make them Adim Zomim, not to say you couldn't have been there at that time. So that's why you don't have to write when it was, where it was, what time of day it was, in order to provide that kind of possibility. Okay? I'm Rabbi Chagai said, this is really logical. Just Dayanim have to recognize the Sadi Dayanim, the individuals involved. The way that people shouldn't be making a plot to make a bogus star to collect from customers. So they have to know these people who are creditable or not, credible or not, the people who come in front of them. Because there was a case like that when there was a forgery which went on. So they have to verify the ethical character of the individuals who come in front of them with the star, and not just verify the star on the basis of the verification of the witnesses. Okay? Shiur mitzvahs again. What if you start writing again? You couldn't finish on one column. Because of Daf Sheni, you continue on the second column. right? Like a siftor, column by column. Very milamato, when the witnesses are at the bottom of the second column, kosher, it's okay. Kosveidim barosh adaf. If the Eidim wrote the signature at the top of the page before the get, it's not on the side of the page, right next to the get. Only achor behind the get. We get pashut by an open get, one which is not folded over. Pasul, it's no good. Hekiv Rosh Hashanah, it's how Rosh Hashanah. Now you wrote two in one in a continuous column. Actually, no, one is upside down vis-a-vis the other, right? You wrote one going this way and another going that way, right on the document. Okay, so in that case, and the Eidim B'emtza, the Eidim middle, Shnei. Both documents are no good because the Eidim are be at the end of the document, they're at the beginning of both documents, right? If, however, Rosh Hashanah besides Sofer shows there, if the continuous one here and then one again afterwards, so Esh Eidim Nikrim Imo, the one in which the witnesses are closest to, that one is the kosher one, right? Esh Eidim Nikrim himself, the ones the witnesses are close to at the end of it, it's kosher. Get your Kosvo Ivris. Now here it's talking about literal languages. Again, which is written in Hebrew. Veda of Yavonis, its witnesses are Greeks, and they sign in Greek. Okay? Or Yavonis, again, it's written in Greek, which theoretically is kosher. Veda of Ivris, and its witnesses are Jews. One witness is a Jew, and one is a they're all Jews. One is a witness is Israeli, and the other is Greek. One witness is Greek, and the other witness is Israeli. Kosher. All these are okay. Kosher. If the Sofer wrote the document and an aide signed the document, that's kosher. Problem is, that's not so simple because the Mishnah previously which said that was possible. At least midrabanan, if the Sofer wrote without and had not signed, and an aide signed, the Sofer plus an aide does not do witnesses make. So the one is going to discuss that. Okay. Ish ploni aid kosher. If I write, I'm Yankel the witness, that's how I sign it, that's kosher. Ben ish ploni, if I write, I'm the son of Yankel the witness, aid, who's the witness, I write the word aid. That's kosher as well. Ish ploni, I write Yankel ben Shmerel, below kosav aid, I didn't write aid at the end, kosher, that's also okay. Kosav chanichosav, if I write my, it could be nickname, but it really means my symbol, as the Gemara will explain. That's also kosher. And that's how the upstanding people in Yerushalmi used to do. They would write just the nickname as opposed to the actual name. Okay? The truth is, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not so sure I'm right about that. That's how the Yerushalmi learns it, but I think one could learn differently, and maybe the Bibli does, I don't remember. But couldn't learn it actually means that you have to write the nickname besides the regular name. But here in the Gemara it's going to say you have to, the nickname by itself suffices. I don't remember. Okay. Says the Gemara, Ma'u shiur. What is this, what did you leave over that you started writing the second column? Which is still kosher. Alright, Rabbi Yisrael said, Kayem shora borur. The last line of a get, we usually write a kol shor v'kayom or a kol borur or something like that. So that's enough of a second column. Nothing integral. Everything integral has got to be in the first column. What's in the second column is non-integral. So, well, it's important, but the rest of it is in the first column, and it's kosher because I say the witnesses are signing on the rest on the entire get. Now, the truth is that why is it such? That's really a chiddush. I think it's less of a chiddush if the get continues on the second column from the first column. But chiddush is because you might think in this case it was actually another get written on top, which was cut off. And all you left was the last line, and you had the Eidim signed, and the Eidim were signed already. And again, which had been on top of the parchment, which is next to a get on the other side of the parchment. So that's why it tells us that we're not afraid of that. We assume that this was the continuation of the get in the first column as opposed to the continuation of a higher get in the second column which had been cut off. Okay? Says the Gemara, the get, now here the way all of them before she transpose the words. The get pashut pasul. Okay, instead of get pasul pashut, so you get pashut pasul. A simple get is pasul when the edim sign in the back. But of course, makusha or kosher. If you have a get makusha, a special get which is where the edim sign on the folds of the outside of the get, and then they fold it over line by line. That's kosher, obviously, where the witnesses are not at the bottom of the get. They're not supposed to sign there. They have to sign opposite the lines, uva me'achora, from behind the get. Okay? Rav says, Dayanim chosimim, Dayanim sign on verifying the signatures of witnesses, even though they have no idea what it says in the document. Because they don't have to. What's their purpose? The Dayanim? Just verifying signatures. So they don't have to know what it says in the document in order to verify its signature, right? Yes? Okay. But, Avo, witnesses cannot say unless they know how to read. Right? They have to know what it says in the document before they sign it. Now, actually, Shai Torah brings down that the Bavli on Daf Tesamav argues on this. The Bavli says that if you have witnesses who don't know how to read, you read the document in front of them, and if they don't know how to write, you make stencils, and they sign by filling in the stencils. So according to the Bavli, you don't actually, what? But the Bavli says that. The Bavli says that the Eidim don't have to be able to read. They just have to be told what it says in the document. They don't even have to be able to write. They just have to be able to fill in stencils, and that's sufficient. Okay, the Yerushalmi obviously doesn't hold that way. Yerushalmi holds Eidim have to be literate. You like the Yerushalmi because you like literacy.
How do they know that what he's reading is correct?
They don't. According to the Bible, as long as they believe.
That's not necessarily why he's there.
What?
That's the point. It's not necessarily why he's there, so know what it says.
Right. He's there to verify that he signed the document. So in any event, but I like Yerushalmi better too. Says the Gemara Omar, and Rab said, even though I'm a dayan and I can verify documents without knowing what they say, evils befall me. You must cease me on my forever verify a document without knowing the contents thereof. If it was in a foreign language, he wouldn't verify it. He was machmir upon himself. Rabbi Chagai said it for Rabbi Yossi, Lo bokumi Rav Chsav Yivani Miyome, since Rav cannot read Greek, a Greek document never came in front of him, the Kimei B'chosam, of which he sustained by its signatories, because he didn't know how to read Greek. Masnisa Pliga Rav. Wait a minute. What about our Mishnah? Our Mishnah seems to argue Rav. It says, Get Shekosvo Ivris, the get is written in Hebrew, Ve'edav Yivanis, and the witnesses are written in Greek. Yivanis, or the get is written in Greek, Ve'edav Yivris, and the witnesses are in Hebrew. Edochad Ivri, one witness is Israeli, and signs in Hebrew. Ve'edochad Yivani, one witness is Greek and signs in Greek. Kosher! So we see, it seems that they don't have to know what it says in the document. Because otherwise, why are they signing in foreign language? Right? If it's not Greek to them, why are they signing in Hebrew? Right? So they should sign Greek. So it says, interesting answer. But he explained, it's a case, Shayul Yodim Likros, they know how to read in that language, Lo Yodim Likros, but they don't know how to write in that language. So again, the Bible, Yerushalmi, consistent with the Shita, that they must be able to read the document. They'll have to sign it in that language, but they have to be able to read that language. Okay? And the V'im, and our Mishnah say, and if they know both languages, so they can sign whichever one they want. Okay? They're not tied down to sign in the specific language in which the star is written. Okay? Says the quoting for the Mishnah. Kine must actually not quoting the Mishnah, but rather explain the Mishnah. Kine must this is a way to read the Mishnah. Now I'm going to learn the way the Shai Torah changes the Girsa, even though all the other Pashim will go crazy and try to learn without changing the Girsa. I will learn the Shai Torah's Eretz Yisrael, and instead of Chosav, learn Chosam. Chosam Sofer ve'eid kosher. In our Mishnah, it said if the Sofer wrote the get, and one witness signed it, so it's kosher. But we know the previous Mishnah said not that way. It said that that's which is possible to Rabbanan. So therefore, that's why the Shara Torah says the Yisrael must be Chasam Sofer Rei. The Sofer wrote it, signed on it, together with another witness. So since they have two signatures, it's okay. Now even still, he says the Babli and Yerushalmi argue, because the Babli says Chasam Sofer Rei. If the Sofer signed and a witness signed both, then that's kosher l'chatchila. You can go ahead and do that; it's fine. Certainly one of the 80. But the Yerushalmi says, in terms of our mission, kosher always sounds like if you did it, it's okay, but it's not the best thing. So the Yerushalmi obviously was l'chatchila. You should have one sofer. This is the way we do it nowadays: one sofer and two witnesses. Okay, not that the sofer should have one of the witnesses. No. You have to determine the Mishnah regardless, because the Mishnah says kosa. No, sometimes the Mishnah is different between the Bab and Yerushalmi. In fact, in this Mishnah itself, there are differences between the Bab and Yerushalmi, which are minor, but there are differences. Sometimes they're substantial. Okay. Says the Gemara, quoting from the Mishnah: Ish plani kosher. You sign, I am Yankel, the witness, it's kosher. Ben ish plani kosher. I'm the son of so-and-so barrel. I'm with the witness, it's kosher. Ish ploni, ben ish ploni, v'lo kasam a kosher, that's kosher as well. Now, the next Gemara, I'm going to learn according to Beckhofer. I was not happy with any of the Mefarshim here, so therefore we go to the big day Sheish on this one. Okay? I was inspired by the Pnei Moshe. The way everybody else learns this continuation of previous Gemara of Ksab Sofer Ve'ed. I don't see how they learn it that way. I think that's ridiculous. I should say ridiculous. I think it's too tortured. But I'm going to learn it the way, again, inspired by the Pnei Moshe, but not precisely the way he interprets it, but rather inspired by what he says. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Elazar says, Divrei HaKoli. Now it says, Yankel ben Shmerel, without the word aid, is kosher. Kosher, again, means b'di'evet, not l'chatchila, right? So Rabbi Vilna said everywhere agrees, but that's only b'di'evet. If you don't write a, it's b'di'evet, it's okay. If you did it that way, it's okay, but you never do it that way in the chatchila. So I've said Rabbi Vilna said shtar l'chatchila should be written with all possible clarity, and therefore witness should make sure that we know that he's not just whistling Dixie when he signs, but rather he is actually a witness. So chatchila has to write the word aid. Okay. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan, it said not true to Rabbi Yehuda. It's only Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's only kosher b'di'evet. Rabbanan holds the chatchila you don't have to write the word aid. Where do you have Rabbi Rabbanan? Rabbanan is in the previous Mishnah in Halacha Gimel, I think it was. No. Where was it? Halacha something or other. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't as prepared. A couple of the last night or 2 nights ago. It said that Gufo should get Rabbanan said the primary part of the get is Arei Muteres L'Chol Adam. And then Rabbi Yehuda say, yeah, but we are a whole bunch of stuff. The Dain, the Evi L'Chai Minai, he gets Truchin, he gets something Shivuchin. We write a whole bunch of stuff besides that. We had to begin the night fair. I just don't remember which Mishnah it was. Yeah, Halacha base. Yeah, you have to look back there. But Rabbanan said, Gufa should get away with this Chladam. They said, you had on a whole bunch of stuff, say, Petruchim, because Shivukim. So Rabbi Yehuda said, and Paul Bachar said, so Rabbi Yehuda added verbiage to make it clear whose get it was from whom it was. Okay? So Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says you have to be a stickler for detail. He also, if you don't write aid, it's only kosher b'di'evet. Rabbanan, even the Chatchil, it ought to be so expansive. And therefore the word aid is unnecessary. Okay? Says more Rabbi Yosef said, Lo bois midaito the Rabbi Lo bois midaito Rabbi Yochanan. Holy! Rabbi Elazar was not afraid of Rabbi Yochanan, even though Rabbi Yochanan was the great Amoira. He argues on Rabbi Yochanan. He says that everybody passes the case where it doesn't say aid, it doesn't pass. Says l'chatchila you have to write a. Even Rabbanan hold that way. And it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi, who said this, who kind of like stuck up for Rabbi Lezer, V'shitasa Yeshivu. He responded with his own opinion. He holds like Rabbi Lezer as well, that El Chatchila, you have to be clear beyond all shadow of a doubt. Because Lav Rabo is not his Rebbe. I think his Rebbe was Rabbi Yirmiyah, I forget who it was. But it's not even his Rebbe. Duam Hashem Rabbi Zira said Rabbi Zira back at the beginning of the Masechta. For the third parak, not the absolute beginning. But that test Bob. Said Hashem Rabbi Zira, name Rabbi Zira. The case is like that. The case over there was a case where there are two people with the same name in the city. So the question is, so you have to write identifying marks in the Torah, in the primary component of the get. But in the secondary component of the get, you don't have to write identifying marks. Why? Because we're not afraid that this get is going to be used by somebody for whom it was not intended. Okay? So therefore, even if you have two people the same name in the city, the Gemara had said there, you really could write the tofes of the get. I guess you anticipate this marriage was on the rocks. You could write the tofes of the get, not assuming that there would be some mix-up. And the truth is, because even if there was a mix-up, in the tofes, the non-essential component of the get, you don't have to be precise. And then the Gemara came to the conclusion, you know what, even though that's true, Lamaisa, we refrain from writing a get, unless we have clear-cut identification of who it is at the time that we write it, even the tofes. Why? We don't want to take chances. The low plug, we don't draw distinctions. Even though it's the tofes, non-essential component, not the tofes, we don't take any chances. And that's why it says, since it's not frequent that there are going to be two people with the same name, and that you're going to have such a coincidence, and the Gemara should say here, according to change it, afilu zive kamishalo zive. Even if there are two people, we don't take into consideration. But that's only how the Gemara starts there. The Gemara concludes and says we don't take that chance. So from this we see the Rabbi Yossi holds, like his Rabbi Yirmiyah named Rabbi Zira, that even though theoretically we're not concerned with inaccuracies, certainly not in the tofes, which is inconsequential, l'chatchila we take even undue precautions. And don't even allow you to write the non-essential part of the get, where it's possible that there be two people by the same name. So too here we take perhaps undue precautions and make sure l'chatchila that you write the word aid, even according to Rabbana, not just according to Rabbi Yehuda. Okay? Kosher. If you wrote the nicknames, it's kosher, right? That's good enough. Now, Rabbi, it seems like that's going to the nicknames of the man and the woman, okay? But here, actually, it sounds like the Gemara switches gears. It said it's not going to, not a name of man and woman. Rabbi Yonah said, Afilu Kosav, it says Edo, but it's a typo, it should be the Mashbiach, it says Aleph. If your name was Avo, and you wrote Aleph as your signature as a witness, kosher. You don't have to write out your full name. I guess ink was expensive in the old days. So Aleph is good enough. Ravo Kosav Aleph, Ravo himself wrote an Aleph. Rav Chisda Kosav Samech. Chisda couldn't, I think, I forget from where, somewhere it says some people couldn't pronounce the Chesed. So therefore he wrote, I guess, just the Samech. Shmuel Kosav Charusa. Shmuel made a picture of a tree, or a branch, and that was his sign. So that not just the nickname, but whatever, not because they didn't have the sign, obviously, but whatever is your symbol, that's good enough to be your signature of the get. Okay, on we go. Get meusa, get which is compelled, given under duress. Be strong if the Jews compelled him, kosher. Uvakum if the Goyim compelled him, possible. Uvakum chovtim also, however, the Goyim can't beat the guy, you can hire Tony and Vinny, and they can beat the guy, but they say Mashi so Omer Loch, better do what the Jew guy tells you to do. So that we can do. We can hire a Goyim to break his kneecaps. But it has to be the Jews who hire the Goyim, yeah. Yeah. And Bates can hire Tony and Vinny. Yeah, so. It should theoretically be kosher. The Baron Soloveitchik has a very strange shita. The Aruch HaShulchan has, he holds that if Dina the Malchus Dina makes it illegal to hire Tony and Vinny, so the get is possible. But the two things should have nothing to do with each other. One is the Choshen, is a law of Choshen Mishpat, monetary law, not a divorces. So if Basin hires it, what's the difference? It might be a crime to beat people up. It's not the kid. Right? But not to have an answer. What about when they legislated that Jews can't get married? Yeah. 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 Very strange. First, yeah, I don't understand what it means. But in any event, the predominant opinion is that that's not the case. As long as Basin hires the hitman, it's okay. Okay? That's what I was going to say. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says, you got to stop with these Western sensibilities, Dashel. Shmuel Amar, Pasul L'Kura. Shmuel says, if the get is compelled improperly, I would say by goyim without sanction of a Basin, so the get is no good, but at the same time, she can't marry Cohen anymore. So you burn the candle on both ends. She loses out on both ends. Shmuel says you don't compel women to get divorced unless there's some psul in the marriage, meaning they're married, somebody told me they shouldn't be married. An example of this, Shmuel at different times said, is a widow married to Kohen Gadol, a divorcee, a woman underwent chalitza married to Kohen Hedyot. As for, wait a minute, what about the Psulim D'Rabbanan, right, where the this is D'Rabbanan? Says, you want to take out the low, Sharitor, so Mashbiach takes out, works out well, better that way. Begin down, Shmuel. That's a similar case to Shmuel's case. Shmuel didn't enumerate all the cases, but that's also possible. So the case of Shmuel took, Amal Kohen Gadol, Gushchalutza Kohen Hedyot, have the Doraisa. But the same thing with Psulim D'Rabbanan as well. Says, well, wait a minute, didn't we learn on Madr Sishto? If somebody forswears his wife, so she may not derive any benefit from him. Actually, she went for 30 days, Yami Parnas, he should have a third party supporter. Yoitz would have more that Yoitz be taking Ksuva, he has to divorce or give her a Ksuva, and it sounds like we can compel him to divorce, and there's not an issue where she's forbidden to him because of some inherent problem. Says more. Shamanu Shumaitz. It says that we compel. It says there he must divorce. Shamanu Shumaitz. Does it say we compel the divorce? In other words, there we use friendly persuasion, not compelling. And a Chanami. Shmuel says the only time we get violent with the guy is if the marriage is forbidden. If it's just an issue of he's a nasty guy, we can't compel it. We can only try and be persuasive. That's Shmuel's opinion. Okay. Which is makes it difficult. It would seem. I was going to salvage it. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yirmiyah Rav said, Yisrael she'isu b'maisa akum pasul. Yisrael was compelled by goyim Jews who compelled like goyim, meaning where there was no legitimate reason to compel a divorce, the divorce is possible. Now, what about and what's the case that if the husband says, I'm not going to feed her, nor am I going to support her, although we would like to divorce his wife, we can't compel a divorce in that case. So in that case, if we compel, even though we're Jews, it doesn't work. So it says it's not so partial. First of all, if goyim compelled, it's a Rabbi Chia Torah Bryce of goyim compelled, the way Jews compel. Well, actually, it's not what it means. If goyim compelled, in a case where based in Paskin that the guy should divorce, even the afilu omer and his just because he said, I'm not going to support her and feed her, that's enough for the basin then to go higher and to hire Tony and Vinny. But he's basically saying, we are on our own initiative, unless basin paskins. I think it's maybe even be arguing the previous one. Previous one said, Eiz on any faris, we cannot compel. Rabbi Chia, to our Brisa, which says, if he says Eiz on faris, we can't compel, we can hire the Goyish or Hitman. Okay? Rabbi Yisrael said, okay? The Brisa says, V'akom Amri Lo, it's a case where the Mishnah, where the Goyim say to him, beat him, and that's considered a valid get. And for some reason he assumes it's going not just in a case where she's puzzled, but rather where Basin has paskined that he's a stinker and he should divorce. So even stinkership, not just psul, is the reason according to this to compel divorce. And Rabbi Chia Barashi B'Shem Asi, he said, he's on the finance a person I'm not going to feed nor sustain her, claiming us we compel him to divorce his wife. Okay? Rabbi Yirmiyah boy kun Rabbi Avo. Rabbi Yirmiyah still was not sure about this, so he asked for Rabbi Avo, do we talk to compel if it's just stinkership as opposed to psul? Amar Lei, so he said, Vadayin Islay should really be according to Gillian Fry. Vadayin out Lazu, you still have such a kasha. Even they we say if a guy has body odor, we compel him to divorce his wife, and we beat him until he divorces his wife. But bad body odor. So then, in that case, certainly if he is depriving her of food and sustenance, then we certainly compel a divorce. So Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Yaakov, Shermini Yochanan said, "My man is a farnes. If his verse says I'm not going to feed or sustain, Omri lo we say Ozono Parnes, either feed or sustain, or ptor or divorce her, and the assumption is we can compel a divorce. Okay? What? Okay, you like that. Okay. Says more clear. Comes out, everything comes out fine. Says Gemara, Yotza Shma B'Yim Mekudeshes, actually Mishnah. If the rumor went down to say that she's married, basically we assume she's married. When any woman comes down, she lives with her like husband and wife, people assume she's married. Okay. Arezim Kudesh, Mikuresh, no noise goes around, she's divorced. Ezim Kudesh, assume there's divorced. Uvach Lo Yishir Mamas, as long as there's no excuse. What's an excuse? Beza Maslo, what's an excuse? Even if there's a cold that she's divorced, if it's a case of Gir she's cloning Ishto out tonight, if there's Megarish out tonight, then that's an Amaslo, because yes, this sounds divorced, but maybe that tonight was never fulfilled. Or Zarek Kiddushin, Toster Kiddushin, Safek Karav Law, we don't know who's closer to. So Zoya Amaslo is also the case. There's a cold she's Mukadeshes, maybe it's not true, so we let it. So in that case, it's potentially not about Kiddushin, and we can discredit the Kol. Okay? Rabbi Yazir Shem Yochanan said, what establishes the Kol she's Mukadeshes? Meichos Toilkin, that there was a festivities with burning candles. And besides that, besides that, people are gossiping about the wedding. Says where it's Rabbi Zero from Rabbi Yasso. How can you say this? He asked for Rabbi Yasso. But either he say learn Yotza Shmo Ba'ir Mekudesh says if the name went out about it and saying that she's married, and Megureshes are raising Megureshes. What's more important is if the name went around that she's divorced, she's Megureshes. The Isam Beim or Neirus Dokim. What, do they burn candles by a divorce? In other words, you can remember the festivities of a wedding. But what festivities are you remembering about the divorce? Okay, usually there aren't festivities by divorce. There are exceptions. Says more, what? Nowadays. It says, so the next word it says, looks like lo, but it's really elo. La, sichos miyam sichim. So no, rather, all you need is people schmoozing. You don't need to have any precipitating events. But just like by Gersh, just like that, but also by Kiddushin, she'yad sichim. What? Kol. Shishmuzarai. Rabbi Yazir Shem Yochanan said, Nivdak Hashem, what if you checked out the rumor? Women and children started the rumor. In that case, B'at Hashem, we discredit the rumor. Be able to trace back to women and children, unreliable. What is a valid Rav Amar lo tir by elam emi pied bilvad? What is he says no. Even the rumor started by women or children is considered to be a reliable rumor. It's only if it's untraceable. So it's I heard from so and so said she heard from so and it goes back to an untraceable source because the initial source went to Chutz La'aretz or cannot be found. In that case, we discredit the rumor because we say that untraceable rumors are not valid rumors. But if you keep on persistently able to trace it, then we assume that it is a valid rumor. Okay? Says the Gemara a little further. Mishnah further. Last Mishnah Gittin. I think we'll finish tonight. Beis Shammai says, Lo yigarish adam es ishto elen keimatzu ba'erba. You shouldn't divorce your wife unless you find something licentious about her. Shnei says, Keimatzu ba'erba, so you find a licentious matter about her. Beis Shammai says, Afilu yitirot tafshilo. Even if you burnt your supper, get rid of her. Shnei Keimatzu ba'erba's davar. Now do you find something about Arias? You find some shortcoming, some matter which is nakedness of matter, something which is in a shortcoming in a woman. Rabbi Akiva Amar, Afilu Matzah Ches Do'en Mena, even if you find a nicer wife than she. So Shneimar says, if she doesn't find favor in your eyes, etc., that's sufficient grounds for divorce. That's the flip side of Akiva's V'afta Re'acha Kamocha. You don't love her anymore, you have to be married to her, right? So therefore, you have to marry somebody else.
That's what
You like that one, don't you? Okay. So, now, the Gemara here is a bit messed up. The Gemara actually should have a question to begin with, instead of the word v'ha. And most of the questions throw in this question. Should be ma'makayim Beis Shammai time of the Beis Hillel davar. Beis Hillel is word for the extra word davar. It doesn't say chimatzi ba'erba. It says chimatzi ba'erba's davar. Now you find something like that. You find a matter which is a shortcoming in your relationship. That's how Beis Hillel learned the word davar. What did Beis Shammai do with the word davar? It says more, Beis Shammai learned it for b'di'evet. Tana Beis Shammai I might say that a woman can only get divorced because of true arayos. Right? Actually, it's not from b'di'evet. That's coming up later on. I apologize. But just to scratch what I just said. What do you do with the word davar? I might say it's only because of true arayos. She went there, she was adulterous or something like that. I don't know if she's just a prutza. She doesn't meet the standards of modesty. Hayotis Parosha goes out with her head uncovered, so they have frumim, her sides uncovered, uzroseh chalutzos, and sleeveless. I don't know that in such a woman you could divorce, because that's similar to Arayas, Tabla Kimatzaba Ervas Dover. That's also Ervas Dover. It's not Arayas Mamish, but it has to do with Ervas. Similarly, Mamakayin Beis Shammai, what did Beis Shammai do? And here the Shaitar so throws in the words, time of the Rabbi Akiva. What did he do with Rabbi Akiva? It says, it says, if you don't like her, divorce her. What does Beis Shammai do with that? So it says, this is for b'di'evet. So that Beis Shammai answers, Shalotam, and don't say, Hayaytim Mishum Ereva, if you divorce your wife because of Ereva, and then she married somebody else, Asura, then you can't take her back, even if she gets divorced with her from the second guy. Why Mishum? Because obviously she's a loose woman. But I might say Mishum Davar Acher, if you divorce her for some other reason, even if she married somebody else in the interim, you can later take her back. Muteres, that's what it has to say. No, if you divorce your wife even because you didn't find favor in your eyes, and then she went and married somebody else, you can never take her back again. You lose her forever. Okay? Mara says the Gemara, and the Amar B'Shila. It's a little bit of a question where B'Shila is coming from. It's a little bit out of left field. Anyway, Amar B'Shila the Kvar Tamarata, B'Shila from the city of Dates, said, "Kroya Maksha Beis Shammai." I have difficulty in Beis Shammai for a apostle. Says, "Lo yuchal ba'al rishon asher sholcha l'shuv l'kachta." It says her first husband can't take her back. So, Ma'an Kayomi. What are we talking about? Im Asura Lo, if to say she's forbidden upon him, Kvari Asura Lo, she's already also to him. Now it's a little bit difficult, but he's assuming, he's going back really as if we didn't have the previous one, saying, Beishamai holds, why divorce your wife? Because you found something licentious about her. So even if she didn't marry somebody else, you should be now allowed to take her back, right? She's a loose woman. So says Mara, Sheila answers, that would just be good advice, right? Since once you divorce her, don't take it back. The reason it says, yuchal is in order to slap a prohibition on it. If you take her back, now she should never take her back to be divorced because of Nerva, but if she went and married somebody else in the interim, then to take her back is a law besides that. Okay? See if it says, by the Babinida son. Now this is kind of out left field. I don't know why you finished getting with this. Oh, I know why. It's the last line. By the Babinida son, it says a woman is isolated when she's in menstruation. And a man is also isolated when he has, a venereal disease. So it's Kadim Arishradim. In the old days, used to say, the original elders used to say, "Look, Tebi Nidasa, she should remain in her nida," meaning not just she should be isolated. She shouldn't put on makeup. I should have open mind. But instead, she put on makeup. Rabbi Kiva said, "Misham Raya." From there, you want to bring a proof. Now, he doesn't bring another proof, but it's just svara. If you say that he should, when his wife is in nida, she shouldn't dress up and put on makeup. So she's bringing herself to ugliness. And he's going to divorce her. So therefore, she has to be able to put on makeup even when she's in nida. Now, I said this Canaan who didn't care is like Beishamai. They say anyway she can't divorce her because she doesn't put on makeup, she's still, she's still okay because you only divorce because of erva, right? It's not erva, it's just because she's ugly. Rabbi Akiva, however, is going. It should be according to the Shai Teisel Kedaite. Rabbi Akiva is following his line of reasoning himself. Akiva said you can even divorce her if you find a more beautiful woman, right? So therefore, he said she better remain as beautiful as possible, even when she's in nida, because otherwise she's going to find a more beautiful woman. Now, this struck me that this is the same machlokas Beishamai we have over here is the same machlokas they have by Chosin Akala. Beishamai says Ketzem Rakti Lifnei Akala. That's for Akala. Come on, she's ugly. You don't say she's beautiful. There's so many Akala Nova Chasud. You always say she's beautiful. Right? Because some Rabbi Akiva, some portions say this explicitly, are basically the same. It's just Basil picks that she burns your pot, and Rabbi Akiva picks if you find a more beautiful woman. But the point is, according to Beishamai, you don't have to lie and say that she's beautiful if she's not, because anyway, once he's married, he can't divorce her unless she's an erva, and she's not an erva, right? Even if she's ugly, she's not an erva. But according to Basil, you can divorce her even if she's ugly. So therefore, you better lie and say Kala Noava Chasuda in order to try and prevent the divorce occurring right after Sheva Brahmas.
Is it not only that you're supposed to say she's beautiful, you're also supposed to say she's...
Noava Chasuda. Right, pious means he doesn't burn the cookery, I guess.
It doesn't have to say anything to the
What? No, it's not doing that, No. Just we say she's pious. No, of course, but that's not the issue. That's not the issue. I think anyway. That's off the top of my head. That's what I said in the Kiddushin. Okay, Hajulach Magarish. Let's just make a start at Kiddushin. So the first part of Kiddushin is very easy. Like I said, tomorrow night we're not learning. The next time I hope we meet is on Monday. A woman is required by 3 ways. The Kohen requires herself in 2 ways. She's bought the kesef b'shtar bia with money, with documents, and with relations. The kesef, how much money? Beishamai omrim the dinar, shav dinar, with dinar or the equivalent of a dinar. Beisomrim the pruta v'shav pruta the equivalent of a pruta. The kami pruta, what's pruta? Achas mishona v'israel italki, 1/8 of an Italian isser. The Kohen why does she acquire herself? The get by divorce and misabal the death of her husband. Hayavoma can only be acquired by relations. Because Satzma acquired herself a chalitza by the chalitza process, or misayav in the death of the Yavam. Says more, don't make a mistake, read the Mishnah. Kemas, this is the way to read our Mishnah. O b'kesef, O b'shtar, O b'biyah. Either or, you don't need all three. Any one of them suffices. The time Reb Chia learns this explicitly. Lo sof Torah shlosh, you don't need all three. Afilu be'echad me'ed. Even one of them suffices in order to make the marriage about marriage. B'kesef, how we know that my money works? Kiikach says Kiikach magi shenikas b'kesef. Kiikach means if you acquire a woman, how do you acquire? By money. B'biyah minayin. I know the beer works because it says Ubala. Ubala means have relations with her. Magid Shrigas beer. Teacher she acquired by beer. I might say they zu by they zu. I might say need both. Cancer blow beer, below cancer. I know the one without the other works. Either money without beer or beer without cancer. If Om Shabbi Yochanan said, see it says, Ki motze ish shochim im isha bulas ba'al. Says elsewhere, if you find a man raping a woman who's bu'ulas ba'al, who's been husbanded by a husband. So God's mecha. Imagine this. Even if she was only acquired by biyah, because it just says bu'ula, which means relations. So if she was no money, then Torah says, anybody who has relations with this woman, subsequently, b'chenek, that's b'chenek. So it teaches us that even one without the other, even biyah without kesef, and we learn also kesef without biyah works only. You don't need all three or any two in order to make the marriage work. And we will stop here for this evening. We can meet on Monday. There is a wedding. The wedding is Monday.